The old house on Maplewood Lane wasn't supposed to be Emma Carter's future. It was a relic of her childhood, built by her grandfather's calloused hands with oak from a local mill and stones dragged up from the creek bed. For Emma, it was summers of lemonade and fireflies, not a place to start over. But when her job at the town hall vanished in a budget cut and a disastrous roommate situation left her broke, that house became her only option. It was hers, free and clear, with a big yard and quiet-era lifeline when she needed one most. Her cousin Nate rolled in the same week she did, his beat-up blue pickup rattling like it was on its last breath. Nate didn't talk much, but he didn't need to. He got to work, clearing the overgrown yard, stacking firewood, and muttering about giving the place some damn respect. Emma fixed the inside dripping out, peeling wallpaper, scrubbing the ancient linoleum, wrestling with a stove that only worked half the time. They were a team, her planning, him doing, their rhythm as natural as breathing. Sycamore Grove, the neighborhood, was a different story. It was full of retirees who loved their rules like they loved their morning coffee, strong and non-negotiable. Emma and Nate didn't care much for that, but they wanted to fit in, at least enough to avoid trouble. One night, over beers on the back porch, Emma mentioned how nice a fire would be as the fall chill crept in. Nate just nodded, his eyes glinting like he'd already built it in his head. By morning, he was sketching plans in a notebook that looked like it had been through a war. A week later, the fire pit was real. Not some flimsy store-bought thing, but a proper pit deep, lined with crushed granite, ringed with heat-proof bricks and sealed tight. Nate even built a bench around it and a rail for hanging a kettle. It was sturdy, safe, and straight out of a pioneer's dream. Emma checked the county fire codes herself, got an inspector's approval, and paid for a letter saying it was all legal. No shortcuts, no mistakes. The first night they lit it, everything felt perfect. Emma cooked a pot of chili over the flames, and two neighbors, Clara and Tom, joined them. They laughed, swapped stories about the old days in Sycamore Grove, and for a few hours, Emma forgot her worries. The fire glowed steady, its crackle blending with the clink of spoons and soft chatter. But the next morning, trouble showed up. A typed notice, and signed, was tucked under a rock by the pit, claiming it broke some vague community rule Article 4, section banned, demanding it be torn out in 48 hours. Emma thought it was a mix-up, maybe a prank. She checked the bylaws, dusted off in her grandfather's old cabinet, and found the rule didn't even apply. Their pit was permanent, not temporary, and fully permitted. She dropped a copy of the inspector's letter in the community hall's mailbox, expecting that to end it. It didn't. 2 days later, another notice arrived, this one signed by Diane Whitaker, the neighborhood association's president. Diane was a forced 2 degrees, 0 patience, and a reputation for running Sycamore Grove like her personal kingdom. Her garden was flawless, her mailbox regulation perfect, her leaf blower roaring at 7 a.m. sharp. The new notice didn't mention safety. It talked about aesthetic harmony and how the pit was disruptive. Emma felt her chest tighten, not with anger, but with something deeper, like a coiled spring. She doesn't care about codes, Emma told Nate. She just hates that it's ours. Nate read the notice, set it down, and stared at the pit. They want it gone, he said, then grabbed a shovel from the shed. Let's see how they like this. Nate didn't rant or sulk a bit. By the next day, he was digging a trench around the pit, a 2-foot-wide moat with straight edges and a purpose Emma didn't fully grasp at first. She thought he was just blowing off steam, but Nate had a plan. He lined the trench with pumice stone and gravel, rigged a propane-fed hose from an old grill, and turned it into a fire moat. With one valve, flames could ring the pit, controlled and legal, like a Vikings war circle. When he tested it, Emma stood frozen, half laughing, half panicked. The flames roared up, precise and contained, a blazing middle finger to Diane's rules. It was beautiful, wild, and untouchable. Word spread fast. Cars slowed as they passed, some drivers while VYing, others staring. Then the spying started. Emma spotted a drone hovering by the fence, its red light blinking like an eye. A neighbor mentioned a guy with a clipboard snapping photos across the street. Soon, a new notice arrived, hand-delivered, accusing them of environmental disruption and citing fake-sounding codes. Emma didn't flinch. She called the county, scheduled another inspection, and laid out every permit and diagram. The inspector spent 2 hours measuring and nodding. "No violations," he said. "Someone's got it out for you. That's the only reason we're here." Then Diane showed up in person. Emma saw her white SUV pull up, slow and smug, like it owned the street. Diane marched across the lawn in a beige suit, clipboard in hand, her shoes crunching gravel like she was grinding glass. "Ms. Carter," she called, her smile cold as winter. "This spectacle flames. Trenchezit's unsettling. Neighbors are nervous." Emma kept her voice even. "It's legal. County approved. I got the papers." Diane's eyes narrowed. "Sycamore Grove has standards. This isn't about laws. It's about harmony." Emma stepped closer. "It's about control." Diane didn't blink. "Make it a legal fight, and I'll win. I've done it before." Nate appeared, wiping grease from his hands. "Then you know what losing costs," he said. Diane shot him a look, then left, tossing back. "Think about what you're digging into." That night, Emma and Nate sat on the porch, silent, the moat unlit. This wasn't about Fire Anna Maria, it was about who got to decide what home meant. Diane wasn't protecting anyone. She was marking territory. Emma knew fighting back meant outlasting her, outsmarting her, and documenting every step. The war was on. Things got uglier. Emma woke to a scraping noise at dawn, like metal on concrete. Outside, 2 men were near the pit, one with a measuring wheel, the other taking photos. "Community compliance," one said when she confronted them, claiming some bylaw let them snoop. Emma knew better those rules didn't exist. "You're trespassing," she snapped, and they left without a fight. Later, Nate found a yellow flag by the moat, an arrow pointing to the gas valve. He welded a lockbox over it without a word. Then came a letter from a law firm, claiming the moat OLAT environmental rules. Emma called the county. No such rules existed. "It's a private shakedown," the clerk said. "Happens more than you'd think." The neighborhood turned cold. Neighbors who'd waved now avoided her. Flyers for better landscaping appeared in her mailbox. One old friend, George, muttered about keeping things respectable. Emma felt the walls closing in, not just on her land, but on her place in the world. She reached out to a university law clinic, sending every notice and threat. A student, Rachel, took her case, sharp as a blade. "This is coercion," Rachel said. "They're burying you in paper to break you." She told Emma to install cameras, log every incident, and get a property appraisal. When an appraiser found a second survey flag on Emma's land, it hit her. Someone was trying to redraw her boundaries, literally and figuratively. Then came the sign, a whiteboard by the street, hammered in overnight, pending ReVYEW zone. Changes may be required. No seal, no authority, just a taunt. Rachel texted back, "Don't touch it. It's bait." Emma photographed it, logged it, and kept going. She called a neighborhood meeting, not through Diane's channels, but door to door. 14 households showed up, some curious, some sheepish. Emma laid out her permits, the fake signs, a buried map she'd found with her land marked reclassification zone. She didn't name Diane. She just asked, "If this can happen to me, what's stopping it from happening to you?" The silence was heavy, thoughtful. A few asked for her documents. One man admitted he'd faced similar pressure and ignored it. Diane drove by that night, slow and silent. Retaliation hit fast. A fire marshal complaint claimed the pit was a dry season hazard. The deputy marshal inspected it, shook his head, and said, "This is safer than most restaurants." Someone's got a grudge. But the pressure didn't stop. At 3 a.m., motion lights blazed. The moat's valve cover was open, its lock untouched, but unlatched. Camera footage showed a 24-second glitch enough time for someone to stage it. A sheriff's deputy called it suspicious, but unprovable. Nate rewired the cameras to a backup battery. Emma sent the footage to Rachel, who fired off a county inquiry about repeated interference. Then came the big move, a petition from 17 households claiming Emma's pit was a disruptive hazard. It wasn't legal, but it was loud, meant to exhaust her. Rachel's boss, attorney Lisa Grant, called it public shaming. Her plan? Make it boring. Bury them in perfect paperwork. Emma and Nate got an NVY, Environmental Report Pro, VY, in the pit was clean, backed by 4 neighbors' statements. Diane went quiet. Then, at 4 a.m., an alarm pinged. Someone tried the side gate, gloved hands, and a limp caught on camera. They failed, but they were testing her. Emma lit the pit that night, not for show, but for herself. Clara and a quiet neighbor, Ed, joined her, sipping tea by the flames. They didn't talk about Diane. They just sat, the fire steady, the stars bright. The end wasn't loud. Lisa filed for a county re-VYEW of the association's authority. Diane missed deadlines. Her fake neighborhood council exposed as non-existent. The county froze her enforcement powers. She vanished, citing personal reasons. The signs disappeared. Neighbors waved again, left casseroles, rebuilt trust in small ways. Emma and Nate lit the pit for a quiet dinner with friends, the flames low, the air clean. But one morning, a package Aravedno sent her, just a grainy photo of the pit and a note. We're not done. Emma didn't flinch. She and Nate were ready. Their line held not with rage, but with stubborn, quiet truth. The fire pit stayed. The moat stayed. Emma stayed not as a rebel, but as a woman who knew her ground and wouldn't let it be rewritten. This wasn't a win. It was Sir VY Val, and that was enough. What do you think? Was Emma right to dig in, or should she have compromised to keep the peace? Is Diane a VY Lane, or just a control freak protecting her VY Shaun? Could this happen in your neighborhood? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you felt the heat, and subscribe for more stories that spark a fight.